Yeah, so you had the article that was hidden behind a paywall, right? And so
Of course it was.
that's already my first kind of doubt. And in 2017, it's true. Xbox One was uh they wanted to close down Xbox as a brand. Well, as a console anyway. And that's when Phil Spencer came in and said, "Let me have a stab at it. This is my idea. I think it can work." And that was the birth of Game Pass. And so that's where they went down, and that's what pretty much saved Xbox after the disastrous reveal of, Xbox One, which in my opinion, outside of the whole DRM thing, there were some really cool features that they announced back then that were going to come with the Xbox One that sadly, to this day, never came back. Like the ability to trade your digital purchases in. That was a really cool idea, but you can't do that anymore. The game sharing with up to 8 people, actually being able to trade your digital games to other people was a cool idea. But the whole DRM thing and the Connect thing was what murdered them, really. But then after that came the whole 2021 when they launched the Xbox Series X and S, and they royally screwed up with not having Halo as a launch title. And that hurt them. Add to that, they didn't actually send development kits to publishers until 2 months before the console came out. Some received it 1 month before the console came out. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that, but that's crazy.
That's mental, right? 1 month before the console came out, officially launched in 2020 is...
They were just given, I'm guessing they were just given PC specs to build around the console.
Yes. Essentially, yeah. That's what they were given. They were given the rough specs. But the actual development kits, I think like companies like Capcom and Square Enix got them 2 months before launch. And other studios that were smaller got them 1 month. Some even like less than that before launch.
I will say, I hate defending Microsoft with this, but at least most of the... At least I'm not a developer, but from what I've heard, a lot of the stuff that is on Xbox runs on Windows. So it's a lot less coding to port from Windows to Xbox. Especially nowadays, because they've got that layer, right? The adaptability layer.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they both
because they both run DirectX, right?
Yeah, Xbox runs DirectX U, which is now, DirectX U is now supported within Windows. So it's just, when you look at the two now, they're essentially just a PC. But what I'm saying is, in 2021, they got to that point. Xbox didn't release with they needed to come out strong out of the gates after the disaster that was the Xbox One. And people can say it did very well and it did amazing. It really did. I mean, it still sold 60 million units, so I guess it actually didn't do as bad as people thought. But the reality is, in terms of the first-party offerings, it didn't do great. So everyone expected the launch of the Series X to be, a big launch. It needed that Halo there. And it didn't arrive.
Imagine if... Because Halo Infinite was free to play, right? The multiplayer.
The multiplayer was, yeah.
Yeah, the game was... Single player was purchased later, right? I think the multiplayer came out before the single player.
Yes.
Imagine you're like, okay, the new Series X and Series S are launching at so-and-so date. By the way, a new Halo is coming out launch day. And also, it's pre-installed on every system.
That would have been really cool.
When you buy your Series X, it's Halo multiplayer is pre-installed on your Series X. Boom. There you go.
But they didn't have that. So in 2021, there was talks of, the console wasn't faring very well as it could have done, especially with the chip shortages as well, which Microsoft was paying out of the bawooza to buy them. They were even buying them. They were even out bidding Sony for those silicons at the time. I was reading. to make sure they can get enough to manufacture the consoles. But in 2021, they're faced with a choice. Do we continue the way we're going right now, which doesn't look good? Or do we invest in different ways to make more money for the department and for Xbox? And so they say, okay, what we're going to do is start buying studios, and that will, also help Game Pass and that will also bolster what Game Pass has got. So it's like a double win. You're going to get all these cool games for Xbox, and then you're also going to get them on the subscription. So it's a double win. And then they bought ABK to bolster that even more because that strategy was, working for them. How is that seen as a negative? And now, with ABK, as we've seen 3 years later, Xbox, with the change of direction, a decision they made in 2021, I might have add and tell you, has now made Xbox as a department more valuable in terms of revenue than Windows. So wouldn't you say that the decision Nadella made in 2021 in investing more in a company was the right choice? Wasn't that a smart business move? It's now making them way more money.
I agree. It was a smart move of them.
So where's the negative here? And don't forget, right? Most of that 70 billion wasn't for COD, it was for King.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would say 25 billion was probably for Call of Duty.
The rest
50
was for
billion
King.
was King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because King is just a moneymaker.
Yeah.
It's a milker.
Yeah.
Trust me, Paul, it's delicious.
But reading this, the fact that this person said that it's disappointing, I don't get that.
No, it's not. I mean, and this is the thing, right? They have had, right, technically 4 years to expose this, right? And this is the point that I made in my video, and this is the point that, PlayStation
2
fans...
years, right?
It's 2021, right?
No, 2021 was Obsidian. 2023 was Activision.
I know, but this actual decision was made in 2021.
Yeah, but...
So this guy that's been controlling these stocks for a number of years has known about this and has been sitting on this for 4 years. Right? And he chooses a week before an Xbox announcement to come out with doom and gloom. He can announce it at any time possible. But the one point in time that they want to do this is at a time where Microsoft's about to reveal something, their share prices for his customers, considering he calls himself a Microsoft stockbroker, a portfolio manager, and his job is to maximize their profits. He's releasing this at this time to damage his investors' investment? Make that make sense. Tell me how that, in itself, makes sense. His primary objective is to make money. It's to grow his investors' money. So he, at the most opportunistic point, finds the perfect time where that investor's money is about to get higher. Their shares are about to go up because of the games that are going to be shown, the hype that's going to come with it. And he does his utmost best to damage the investor's investment. Please tell me how that makes sense.
It doesn't. The only way it makes sense is if he wants to damage it so he can buy more stocks for himself.
What do you mean?
And then when it gets hyped...
What do you mean I think I'm a pony?
Yeah, he can't be the pony, Bags. I've got to be there. I'm supposed to be the pony in this conversation. I feel offended.
No,
Yes.
King is worth more than... King is worth way more than COD.
Yeah, King is worth way.
King
way
is just
more.
passive money. You don't even have to develop it. That just brings in like $2 billion a year without even trying.
Yeah. I mean, just look at just Gacha games in general. Look at Dokkan Battle, which is the Dragon Ball game I played. Namco said the fact that it's one of their biggest grossing amount of money. It's a 10-year-old gacha game, and it still makes more money than every other console game they release.
I mean, gacha games are insane, right? But this is what I'm saying.
Not normally 10 years later.
And people are saying
gacha.
that news that came out with Master Chief Collection and Gears Collection going to PlayStation. Yeah. And in my video, I said that I don't care if the games go or not. I care about the timing, because now that's all everyone's going to talk about. And the timing that the rumor came out is so specific. It could have came out at any point. It could have came out last year. It could have came out at the start of January. It could have come out after the actual showcase. But it came out one day after the Dev Direct reveal.
It came out as a way to try and counter it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's clearly it. That's all it is.
The whole thing is designed to be, I guess, as they say it, Xbox bad. And when people talk about the Xbox tax, this is what they refer to.
Now, do you think it's Microsoft leaking it, though? Do you think Microsoft's trying to plan it?
In what way? Why would they do that? I mean, I get the Ubisoft doing it because, I mean, I've said this from the very beginning, right? And everyone knows I've been saying this. Ubisoft is deliberately crashing their share price. They are deliberately doing it, and they are damaging the brand so they can basically sell the company. Either sell it to a third party or sell it to the Guillemot family. Because Tencent right now can't do nothing. Until 2027, they can't sell their shares because they're locked in. So I feel sorry for Tencent in that regard. But until 2030, they're not even allowed to buy more shares. So they can sell in 2027, which works for the Guillemot family really, really well if they've tanked the shares that badly, because they'll just scoop all those shares up for cheap. But they can't do anything until 2030. And from where I'm seeing...
The reason why I say Microsoft doing it is because maybe they're like, okay, this is something that we might be announcing during the showcase. We know it's going to piss people off because there's a lot of people out there that don't want to see Halo and Gears on PlayStation. Which,
but it's not announcing in the showcase.
As someone who wants... But no, I'm just saying, like, in a future showcase. I don't think it'd be this one, but they know that it would eventually come out. And if it is happening, but I don't know. I have no idea. And I personally, as someone who likes Halo and Gears, and I like PlayStation more than Xbox, I want to say I hope they don't. I hope they stay on Microsoft. As much as I technically would like to play them on PlayStation, I would rather have competition, have something that I would want to buy the console for. But that's just me. I'm still like Chaos, where I grew up with console exclusivities, and so I don't know. I feel like in some ways Microsoft was... I feel like Microsoft was involved in the leak somehow.
I don't think so. It doesn't make sense this time. This one doesn't make sense.
When do all Microsoft choices make sense?
But when have they leaked anything?
Normally, if it's them leaking it, we won't know they leaked it.
But what possible benefit could they have leaking it just before a show that's supposed to increase their share prices? That's essentially turning around and saying that they don't want to make money.
I guess make sure that maybe they knew the leak was going to come out after the show, had the leak before the show, get people down on the console, and then when the showcase comes out next week and it's all amazing and great,
but the hype
it brings the hype level back up.
I don't know. For a lot of people, the hype is gone. But for the average person, that hype that they had as soon as the announcement came out, I feel has been damaged a lot, and you can see that sentiment around. So I don't think
right. There's no announcements of.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying. But I don't think this one was thing. I mean, don't forget, this same guy last year at exactly the same time said that Starfield was coming to PlayStation in 2024. Exactly the same time.
He's also recently said the fact that there's a state of play in February.
Right.
So take it with a grain of salt. And by salt, I mean a grain. I mean like a packet. Yeah.
But it just doesn't make sense to me. And then you're seeing all of this. information. It's like I know Nibs really likes to go into a lot of detail. Like no one's gonna read all this.
Yeah,
But
there's so many words.
like, ain't no one reading that. But you know,
It's like a terms of service. Nobody ever actually reads them. They just click accept.
why would you invest? I mean, even if we go past the 2021 and we get to 2023, and you know,
Yeah.
we agree that Bethesda didn't really move the needle when it came to Xbox financial
To be
earnings,
fair, it didn't.
right?
Really.
You know, it didn't. Maybe a little bit, but it's very, very minuscule. If they didn't believe
has
in the brand,
potential.
if they didn't believe in the brand, why would you invest $70 billion in something you don't believe in?
Yeah.
Why would you invest $70 billion in something you do not believe in? That's the question. You don't just spend $70 billion for the sake of it. That's not how it works.
No, they don't get bored. You don't get bored and 75 billion drop out your pocket.
You know, I don't care how rich the company is. You don't just throw $75 billion like that. I don't know. So I think that whole article, in its most basic form, is just a pile of rubbish.
I'm sure there's grains of truth. Like there's
there's
always
a-
grains of
there's
truth.
always a
But
bit of grain
the
of truth.
overall article is wrong.
I mean, this statement here that in 2021 they were faced with a choice,
Yeah.
I believe they were. Right?
Yeah.
They were like, right, the Xbox isn't doing very well, so what are we doing,
I wouldn't
folks?
be
Are we
surprised-
going to call it a day, or are we going to reinvest?
I wouldn't be surprised if the only truth was that one sentence, and then everything else was like invented around it to give it a good story.
Yeah.
That was probably the only statement the company got. And that was it. And everything else was just drivel that they wrote.
Like, I'm sure that conversation came up. What are we going to do? You know,
Spoilers. So I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna leak it here. I'm sure when the PS3 was struggling, and then we found out that by the way, did you know that the TV business is what saved Sony?
that one, I thought it was their camera.
No, it was their TV business that saved Sony.
I always thought it was the camera because I read about their camera
No.
business, because I know their TVs were failing.
Shui
Their mobiles
mentioned the
were
fact
failing.
that I think it was like the Wega or something like that system that the TVs that
The
came
Wega.
out that
Or Vega, as
that
they're pronounced.
that actually saved Sony.
But you know that at one point
Trust
they
me,
were
this is
planning on
coming from a fanboy.
they were planning on selling the PlayStation brand to keep Sony alive.
Probably.
No,
Imagine
that's a
if
fact.
they sold it to Apple.
They were
Could have had the
considering.
Apple flipping too.
They were considering because Sony was about to go bankrupt, and once I think it was the PS2, the PS1 was alright, but the PS2 is what basically saved Sony, and then there was interest, and they were
'Cause the
considering
PS1 was
selling
just-
the brand. Owner the fanboy, they also have 95 or 94% of their subscribers on the base subscription plan, not on extras and premium, whereas Microsoft has 80 to 85% on Ultimate. So where you've got a bunch of people paying $60, they have a bunch of people paying 165, 170 bucks. Over double, almost triple what you're paying. So in terms of revenue income, they're definitely
Also-
making more.
Okay.
It's very low that people convert to extras and premium. Extras and
No, I meant
premium
like
is about 10%.
No, I meant like actual console, like because the fact that there's more PlayStations sold, there'd be technically more PlayStation Plus sold because there's more PlayStations.
Well, not everyone buys.
If you compare, but if
No.
you can, if you're comparable Plus, no, because not everyone buys Plus.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see how many people have Plus on their system versus how many people have Xbox. It might be more people invest into Xbox anyway.
Well, I mean, it's been revealed that 25% of PlayStation 5s haven't even been turned on. This was last year. That 25% of the PS5s that are reported sold haven't actually been switched on. They've not been activated. So, if you remove 25% from your, say, 70 million, you're on average dropping down to about 50 million anyway. Give or take, 45 to 50 million. So that kind of coincides with your game, PlayStation Plus. But here's the thing, right? Going back to that information, the points that were being made by that guy, where companies were talking about not wanting to put their games on Game Pass. Nothing nefarious involved, just a lengthy process to build things out securely and slowly transition. Microsoft has been great about not forcing anything on anyone regarding going on Game Pass. So the dude that was in the article saying that Microsoft was forcing them to do stuff has already been debunked.
Yeah.
And if they were doing so bad in shutting down, why would they bother launching 2 consoles, buy ZeniMax, and then go to buy ABK, and then you have, where is it? This one over here, where they're still making Xbox console hardware isn't under threat. They're still making Xbox consoles. So if this article is so true, why would they continue investing in hardware? Why would they continue investing in consoles? It doesn't make any sense. It's as you say. He found the perfect time, the most opportunistic time for himself to buy shares.
Yeah.
Dude wanted shares. He went straight for it. Because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense. You know, Jason Ronald, the VP, is telling you that the console hardware isn't under threat. They are still making consoles. But we've also known that it's no longer the only way to play Xbox games. And that's fine. I don't see a problem with that. Here's a question for you.
With your son.
Is Game Pass profitable?
I don't know. I mean, maybe. I'd be shocked if it isn't.
Okay, so let's do the maths, right? Also, there was one more thing I wanted to show here. Let me see if I can find it. I was supposed to have this found earlier. You've got this over here, which shows 34 million, right? In 2024. Yeah. Now, keep in mind, this what you're about to see here is a breakdown of what that 34 million is. So you've got the total, which is 34 million, rounded up. You've got Xbox Game Pass at 22 million.
Yeah.
And you've got Xbox Live Gold, which is now core, at 11.7 million. But do you see what it says down here? It's really important.
Not excluding PC.
Excluding PC Game Pass. And PC Game Pass, the last we heard, was at about 10 to 12 million. And that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So all this talk about Xbox Game Pass being at 34 million is excluding PC Game Pass. Are you telling me that all those Microsoft lost 10 million subscriptions in 2 years? I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe that for a second. So we're looking at 45 million, but we're looking at 34 million.
The issue with that though is if that doesn't show much growth though. Even if they haven't lost it, it's not much growth.
Here's the thing though, right? We also know that this number here
has gone down.
Has gone down, but the number hasn't gone up. and it hasn't gone down.
Yeah.
So what's happening?
They're going to core, right? Which is the...
No. The core, this is core.
No, I meant like the new one that they have.
Yeah. No, it just converted. It's gone from, all it did was a name change. But it went from, this has gone down to like 8 or 7 million now.
Yeah.
But this number hasn't changed. So what's happening?
People have upgraded, right?
There you go. They've managed to get...
Well, they want their day one.
No, but what I'm saying is they've managed to get people that are essentially on PS Plus, Xbox Live, they've upsold those people into Game Pass Ultimate. So where they were paying $60 a year, now they're paying triple that amount. That's insane. That's basically, I mean, when you think about it, if the same number of people just signed up to Gold, that would be 40 million just on Gold. And they've upsold those people to Game Pass. And at the time, Ultimate was the only one available. This was before Standard. These numbers were in place. But when you consider PC Game Pass as well, which is around 10 to 12 million, and then you've got the subscription base that's come in from, so that's putting it already at like 45 million. Then you're looking at the Call of Duty, Indiana Jones, Stalker 2. They brought in, Call of Duty, Satya Nadella said, was the highest subscription count they've had ever for day one in the existence of Game Pass itself. So it's predictable. We'll see when the earnings call comes out, but assuming there's been like 3 or 4 million, maybe 5 million subscriptions, maybe some of them dropped after a month. I expect they will after a month, but let's just say 4 or 5 million, sugarcoating it a little bit. You're looking at 50 million subscriptions and that 80% margin that was on here probably now is sitting closer to around 85 to 90%. And that's the difference. That's a lot of money. And so if we use a calculator and say that the average medium is about £13, right, for between Gold Game Pass and PC Game Pass, and we times that by 45 million, they're making 445 million a month, right? If you multiply that by 12, that is $5.46 billion they make a year on Game Pass. The last we heard from Phil Spencer, it cost them $1 billion to maintain. But let's just say it costs them $1.5 billion now to maintain.
Say 1.5 with inflation and stuff and
right?
Updates.
So you're now looking at $4 billion profit. How is that not profitable? I mean, I guess, and let's just say, let's minus the actual, I'm going to probably mess this up now. How many zeros is that? Another 6 zeros. All right.
A lot of zeros.
So we're looking at 4 billion divided by, should we say the average game price is $60? Because you get some games at 50, some at 70, some at 40.
Yeah,
so
I'd say 60.
So 60 is fair, yeah?
Yeah,
so technically,
60 is fair.
They sell 66,666,000, basically 67 million copies worth of games based on that.
They sell a Wii Sports game every year.
That's not bad, right?
No, that's pretty good.
That's just subscription money. And the best part of this is that every month their bank account is getting 455 million. And that's growing.
Yeah. Man, I wish I would get 450 million a month.
If it's more than 3 zeros, it's a W.
Unless it's, I don't know, that could also be a big L if it's the opposite way around. Hit that like button.
But what I'm saying is, people saying that Game Pass isn't profitable is not true. And as for Call of Duty, as I was saying, I haven't played a Call of Duty in God knows how long, right? But I got it. My kid is enjoying it because I got it through Game Pass. He's a keyboard and mouse player. He's enjoying it on PC, so I got him the Vault Edition, which, the Vault upgrade, which gave him all those shiny, cool looking weapons. So that's 30 quid they got off me. I bought a few bits and bobs for him as well that he wanted to buy. These are stuff that they would never have got off me. So at the end of the day, they've got money off me that they would never have got before by putting it on Game Pass. And there are loads of people like me out there. So I think the move was just fine. And then you're looking at the amount of people that subscribe to Game Pass for Call of Duty. And then that's a lot, even more money that's coming. And then you're looking at all the microtransactions.
I would do the same. I'll be honest, I subscribed to Game Pass so I could play Halo when Halo came out.
But this is what I'm saying, like, based on this. I mean, when Paul Tassi made that statement, there's no way they lost, over 10 million subs in 2 years. I just refuse to believe that. So the 34 million that they were saying at the time?
I mean, maybe technically they lost... Okay, maybe they technically lost 10 million, but only because those 10 million upgraded to more expensive subs. So they lost 10 million basic subs, but they gained 10 million...
But then that's still not including PC.
Yeah, that's not included. By the way, I'm not saying they actually lost it. I'm just saying the fact that technically they lost that tier, which means these people are reporting the fact that they lost it, when in reality they didn't. If you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So like they want to twist the words to make it sound worse than it actually is, and that's what a lot of these companies want to do with Microsoft, which sucks. Again, this is coming from a PlayStation fanboy.